When we get alerts, we're getting them because there's a problem with something. But what is it that has happened, or perhaps hasn't happened? What have we missed? What needs to be done? What is it that's triggered the alert? Let's talk first about the alerts that are generated from work management. Work management can generate two different types of alert: check alerts and overdue alerts. Check alerts are represented by a red warning triangle in the control center, and overdue alerts are represented by the clock. Check alerts are generated because you've asked for them to be. When a checklist is initially created, one of the decisions you make is whether or not you want that check or that option on a check to trigger an alert. The alert will only be triggered if that check is completed or that option is selected. You'd usually set it against checks like comments, reporting a problem, selecting a negative answer, or taking an out-of-range temperature. Overdue alerts are automatically generated and are triggered because scheduled work has been completed late, is incomplete, or has been completely missed. Unscheduled work, on the other hand, will not trigger an overdue alert because it doesn't have a time limit for completion. Let's talk about the difference between the two. Scheduled work has a time limit against it, and you can see that time limit under the clock. When work is due to start, it will appear in the due section. It then moves up to the incomplete section once you've completed your first check. If you've not completed the checklist by the time the clock runs out, it will move up again into the red overdue section and an overdue alert will be sent. Any time that you see in the clock now is extra time, so you can still finish the work, but the alert will have already been sent. Unscheduled work, on the other hand, has no time limit. It's work that you will have started yourself by pressing the square work button at the bottom left of the screen, and it means that you won't see any time against the clock. So to recap, the difference between check and overdue alerts is that check alerts are represented by a red triangle in the control center. Overdue alerts are represented by a clock. Check alerts are generated because you've asked for them to be, whereas overdue alerts are generated automatically. Check alerts are triggered by individual checks, whereas overdue alerts are triggered by checklists. Check alerts are generated when you do something, so when you complete a specific check, whereas overdue alerts are generated when you don't, so that's if you don't complete work on time. And if the checklist reaches the overdue state, it means it's too late. It's likely that you'll be able to complete the rest of the work, but the alert will already have been sent. So that's check and overdue alerts. Next up is the alerts that are generated from automated monitoring. Automated monitoring can generate sensor and service alerts. The sensors can generate both sensor and service alerts. Repeaters and hubs can generate service alerts. Sensor alerts are represented by the radio signal icon, and service alerts are represented by the traffic cone. Sensor alerts are generated because the temperature of a unit has been out of range for too long. That range and that length of time is defined by a temperature rule, and that rule is applied to each sensor after installation. The rule is set for a specific type of unit, so you might have, for example, a fridge rule and a freezer rule. The rule itself defines what the temperature range is supposed to be, when it should send alerts, so between which times, and how long it should wait before it sends an alert. This is known as its recovery period and is usually around 60 minutes. When the sensors trigger an alert, it's because the rule has been broken, and it's broken because the temperature has been above its maximum or below its minimum for longer than its recovery period. A sensor could go out of range for a number of reasons. For example, the door may have been left open or the seal could be faulty. The unit itself may be faulty or may have been unplugged. And always check the sensor itself. Has it been moved or removed from its bracket? Or is there too much stock in front or around it? It may also help to take photos of them in their correct position. Service alerts are generated automatically, and are triggered when the sensors or repeaters have a low battery, or if the lines of communication have been down for more than an hour. A communication issue could be that the Wi-Fi has gone down, there may be a problem with the network, or there may have been a power cut. What this means is that the sensors or repeater can't send data to the hub, or the hub may not be able to send its data to the control center. During this downtime, the sensors will still collect temperature readings, and they'll be uploaded when the lines of communication are open again. When you look at the temperature reports, you'll see the actual time that the temperatures were taken rather than the time that they were uploaded. So to recap, work management will generate check and overdue alerts, and automated monitoring will generate sensor and service alerts. So now we know how we get alerts, but how do we get told about them? Next up, alert notifications.